Welcome back, Helldivers, to your brand new daily news update. Now, today we are going to be talking about melee weapons potentially getting added into the game into the future, and also some words from Johan talking about Helldivers. And there's just a lot to read through at the moment. You know, Johan's going through quite a few changes with Shams becoming the CEO, and he was actually involved in a brand new, I think it was like something like the Swedish Game Awards or something that was going on. And he talked about Helldivers there. So all interesting news to share with you, and something else about assisted reloading. Make sure to smash that like button if you do enjoy today's video, subscribing if you're new around here, and let's get in with the video. So, if you guys remember a while back, we're talking like probably 2 months ago, the devs at Helldivers said they were really considering adding melee weapons to the game. They talked about the potential of an energy-like sword that could potentially come to the game. And you have to remember, there was actually, from what I remember, there was actually stuff found in the game files, but they've always told us, you know, there's lots of stuff in the game's files that probably will never make it to the game. But it has been an ongoing conversation for a very long time, and someone messaged Twinbeard today saying, at community manager, saying, any thoughts on adding melee weapons? It would be so great to use sword or shield, or just use a two-handed hammer to have in the game, and be able to, like, maybe with a giant two-handed hammer you could like bash away some bots and maybe really ruin their armor. And Twinbeard responded with, melee weapons are plausible. So at the moment, Helldivers are taking on all different types of feedback from the community, especially on new Eagle stratagems, and melee weapons have been talked about very closely with the team. If you guys were to choose what melee weapons you would want to be added to the game, what would you choose? What would fit the game perfectly? Because there is a sort of stage where we don't want the game to go into too ridiculous superpowers where you can smash a hammer like Thor on the ground. That's not what we want. We want to keep to the Helldivers side of things and what fits in with the game. But yeah, maybe some form of like, maybe powerful, like sword, energy sword. Obviously, it's going quite Halo. But types of things like that, I think would fit in really well. Also, you'd have to have, I think balance on those would be very interesting, because it would be, obviously, when bugs get close to you, they can like hit you, without you dodging. So maybe there's going to be some form of like shield or something that you can do where you've got a hammer which you could block the attack from maybe like some form of bug. I don't know. These are all things I'm thinking off the top of my head, but I really have wanted to see melee weapons added into Helldivers ever since they first started talking about it 2 months ago. But it's good to see Twinbeard responded there. Next up, we have someone who responded to the melee weapons are plausible with, how about assisted reloading from the shooter's backpack? Now, as you can see from Twinbeard, reload, assist, and backpack in that context is being looked into. Can't say whether it will change or not, but I know it's being was being discussed. There you go. There's an update on if any of you were wondering that. Now, on we go to the sort of, it's quite interesting information, to be honest. I mean, if you're someone that only cares about updates, then this might not be for you, but this was a post from PC Gamer, and it was Arrowhead initially planned to make Helldivers 2 in 3 years. Instead, it took 7 years, 11 months, and 26 days, but grit, camaraderie, and compassion saw the team through. That's a long development. I've actually recently myself gone back to watch some interviews with Johan, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was actually really awesome to watch, and seeing how they've come from, one, Johan looks a lot younger. No, I'm joking. Johan, if you're watching this, you look fine, you look great, but obviously it was like 9 years ago, and in that time you do age a little bit, only a little bit. You still look the same, still look 25. So yeah, let's just get in with it. I don't want to get myself in any trouble. Helldivers 2, despite having some recent growing pains, is nonetheless an overall triumph for developer Arrowhead Games. You don't just get hundreds of thousands of concurrent players, a mere smatter. Well, in a let's just, instead of it sounding great, let's just say you don't get those types of players in, you know, such a small space of time in a couple of months after launch. It's about being a good video game. Helldivers 2 is a major success that now launched, which now its launch is in the rear view. With the amount of copies sold, is this just talking about the 12 million? Yeah, this is just talking about the 12 million copies that sold, which was great. But then former CEO, now creative, well, CCO, Johan, is dreaming of the studio becoming the next From Software, but things didn't always look so bright, as revealed in the talk Johan gave at the Nordic Game 2024 this year. Oh, okay, so it wasn't the Swedish Game Awards, it was the Nordic Game 2024. And by the way, when Johan put out a tweet today saying, I do not mean, I'm actually going to get the tweet up because I want the official words that Johan said, because he was just making sure when he mentioned Blizzard. So here it is. I want to clarify my perspective on Arrowhead goals. I meant the Blizzard I knew growing up, the Blackthorn, Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo 1 and 2 days before 2006. Okay, so there you go, guys. Don't get too worried. So Johan went on to say, we got asked if we wanted to do a sequel to Helldivers, and we said, yeah, I think that sounds like a lot of fun because it'll be easy. We already know the game, could probably do it within 3 years, reveals Johan, before clicking to the next slide where a giant wrong stamp over layers over his presentation. Yeah, that was wrong. That's an incorrect assumption. Johan proceeds to drop the 500k bomb that took Helldivers 2 instead 7 years, 11 months and 26 days to create, over twice as long as intended development time. Now, you know, who can complain? If you've made this much money, it was worth the 7 years. You don't have to look back at that. And he goes on to say, how can we take a game that was supposed to be in development for 3 years and almost end up at 8? And how did we manage to survive during that time? Johan asks. Johan says, apparently game development is hard, so they say, and that's the reason why game development is hard and not just a straight line. Johan presents a development cycle fraught with the industry standard problems, the kind that typically lock studios into a never-ending rut of development hell. And yeah, that's pretty much what happens to a lot of companies whenever they sort of start like a game, and game development is hard. Like, I was in PR, I've probably said this loads of times, you may have heard this before, but I was in PR for gaming before I went full-time with YouTube, and it was really sort of like emotional up and down with seeing a lot of the clients we had on board. And I don't know what other PR companies are like, but we were very, very close to our clients, and we sort of talked a lot through game development and how they were doing. And there was a lot of people saying, you know, a lot of their success of their game holds on, you know, the income they can make for their family, and it was just crazy. And development sometimes hits a hurdle and takes longer, and yeah, people were just trying to follow their dreams, and they don't want to do anything else. And that's what I love about the gaming industry, but sometimes there's some really, really tough times, and I think that was one of the things that I hated seeing. You know, if someone didn't make it, or if someone did make it, that was fantastic. That was one of the best ever feelings. But yeah, so I'm glad Helldivers has done so well. I look forward to a very exciting future, and yeah, hopefully it doesn't take 7 years for the next update now. Catch you guys in my next video.